In the shadows of a world unknown, I am known as Evelyn. At 55 years of age, I stand on the precipice of sharing a truth that has lingered in the shadows of my heart. Though it's a challenge to share, I hold fast to the belief that tales like mine hold significance, even when they are woven with complexity and flaws. There was a moment in my life when I drifted through the shadows unnoticed and unheard, until in an instant the world shifted, and I found myself illuminated, finally visible to those around me. For more than 3 decades, I have shared my life with Richard. We crafted a life that appeared perfect, or so we believed. In those early years we were inseparable, bound by shared dreams and the joyful chaos of raising our son, Ethan. Our home thrived on laughter and the intimacy of late-night whispers, each moment weaving a tapestry of love and connection. My love for him ran deep, an uncharted ocean of emotion. For a time I was convinced that this would be sufficient to sustain us. Yet, time possesses an uncanny ability to alter the course of events, often without your consent. Richard began to drift away, his presence fading like a whisper in the wind. The warmth in his eyes slowly dimmed, like the last flicker of a dying flame. The small gestures, the fleeting touches, the whispered compliments, and the simple joy of locking eyes, all vanished into thin air. Our exchanges became robotic, and in time we drifted apart, no longer crossing paths. I transformed into a mere specter within the walls of my own sanctuary. Days slipped by in a hushed monotony, each one blending into the next, filled with mundane tasks and an oppressive silence. I found myself questioning whether anyone even saw me at all, lost in the shadows of their own lives. Ethan, our sole beacon, had forever illuminated my world. His energy, his passion for life, anchored me in a world that often felt chaotic. At first, I barely noticed when my best friend Lucas began to show up more frequently. At just 23, Lucas brimmed with vitality and dreams, his demeanor a blend of unwavering respect and charming politeness. Yet, as the days passed, an unsettling shift crept into the way his gaze lingered on me. Neither inappropriate nor forward, simply there, in the moment. His gaze locked onto mine. It had been an eternity since anyone had dared to. One fateful weekend, Richard and Ethan embarked on a thrilling journey together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the room, Lucas arrived that evening, a sense of urgency in his stride, to return the item Ethan had unwittingly left behind. I welcomed him inside for coffee, a wave of gratitude washing over me for the unexpected companionship. What began as casual banter unexpectedly transformed into one of the most raw and heartfelt exchanges I had experienced in years. I confided in him about the crushing weight of solitude. In a crowded room, laughter and chatter swirled around like a tempest, yet I stood at the center, an unseen specter. Faces danced in vibrant hues, but their warmth never reached me. I was a ghost among the living, tethered to the edges of their joy, longing to break through the veil of solitude that wrapped around me like a shroud. Each smile and conversation felt like a distant echo, a reminder of the connection I craved but could not grasp. The vibrant world pulsed with life, yet I remained untouched, adrift in a sea of humanity, forever yearning to be seen. In the depths of solitude lies a haunting ache, the profound pain of being forgotten. It lingers like a shadow, whispering reminders of lost connections and fading memories, each moment stretching into an eternity of silence. The heart yearns for recognition, for the warmth of a name spoken, yet finds itself adrift in a sea of indifference, where echoes of laughter and love dissolve into the void. This is the story of that ache, a relentless pursuit of belonging, and he absorbed every word, truly absorbing, with a serene understanding that caught me off guard. He listened intently, never cutting me off, never belittling my words. In his gaze there was an absence of judgment, replaced instead by a profound kindness that enveloped the moment. That night transformed everything within me. Lucas remained on the couch, a silent sentinel in the dim light, while I retreated to my bed. Yet sleep eluded me as I lay there, wide awake for hours, my gaze fixed on the ceiling, thoughts swirling in a chaotic dance. His words ignited a spark within me, awakening feelings I thought were long buried and forgotten. There was no love to be found here. Not longing, the sensation of being cherished, of truly being seen. The next morning he emerged from the shadows of the hallway, his presence filling the kitchen as I busied myself with breakfast. With a warm smile that seemed to light up the room, he greeted me. "Good morning, Evelyn. The aroma is absolutely intoxicating. A smile crept across my face, and my heart danced with a fluttering sensation I hadn't experienced in years. In the days that followed, Lucas began to appear more often, each visit charged with an unspoken tension. He was aware of my solitude, and maybe he could feel the weight of my unspoken need for companionship. In the stillness of the garden, we found solace in each other's company, sipping tea as the sun dipped low. Our conversations flowed like a gentle stream, punctuated by laughter that hung in the air, a melody that wrapped around us, binding our souls in those fleeting moments. In those hushed hours, the space that separated us began to shrink, drawing us closer in an unspoken bond. As the sun sank toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the yard, we found ourselves entwined in a moment, sitting together in the backyard. Lucas turned to me, his voice barely above a whisper. "You know I'm really drawn to you, don't you?" Words eluded me, slipping through my fingers like sand. My breath hitched in my throat. I averted my gaze, caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty about what was right or fitting in that moment. But then he softly took my hand, his gaze intense, and said, "You're an incredible woman. You are worthy of experiencing that sensation." In that instant, a fissure cracked within me, unleashing a torrent of emotions long buried. A hidden dam long forgotten suddenly crumbled beneath the weight of time. I held my ground, refusing to pull my hand away. I refrained from chastising myself over notions of right and wrong. I found myself in a rare moment of emotional clarity, sitting still as the waves of feeling washed over me. What blossomed between us was fragile yet profound, forged not from fleeting desires, but from a profound understanding. Lucas was a reflection of a part of me I believed had faded away, full of life, resilient, deserving of the spotlight. He never attempted to mend me. He stood beside me, an unwavering presence that filled the air with unspoken tension. Yet, this profound connection bore a heavy burden. A heavy weight of guilt frequently pulled at my heartstrings. Memories of Richard flooded my mind, the echoes of our marriage and the vows we once exchanged lingering like shadows in the corners of my heart. My mind drifted to Ethan, a storm of emotions brewing within me as I imagined the moment he might uncover the truth about my deepening bond with his friend. The shadows of my thoughts loomed over me, yet they could not extinguish the flicker igniting within, a profound awakening to my own worth, stirring in the depths of my being. On a sun-drenched afternoon, Lucas and I embarked on a journey to a quaint beach town nestled just beyond the city's edge. We strolled barefoot on the warm sand, the wind enveloping us in a whispered embrace, as if sharing a hidden secret. The ocean unfurled endlessly before us, an immense expanse both inviting and treacherous. Lucas leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "When I'm with you, nothing else matters." Tears streamed down my face, not from sorrow, but from an overwhelming sense of relief. It struck me then, a revelation that sent shivers down my spine. I hadn't experienced that profound sense of emotional safety in what felt like an eternity. As we drove home, the car enveloped in a gentle melody and a silence that spoke volumes. I gazed out the window, a peculiar tranquility unfurling within me. With a spark in his eyes, Lucas turned to me and declared, "Today was truly amazing, Evelyn." And so it was. Not due to any grand gestures or dramatic events. It was simply because I had felt truly alive. In a moment of stillness, he steered the car to the side, halting beside a serene, shadowy grove. Without uttering a word, he extended his hand toward mine once more, a silent invitation that hung heavy in the air. I surrendered to him. In that profound silence, an unspoken understanding lingered between us, weaving an invisible thread that bound our souls together. In that moment, time stood still. There was an intimacy that transcended the mundane, a profound respect woven into the fabric of their connection, and an unspoken understanding that lingered in the air, something that words could never fully convey. What we shared transcended the boundaries of friendship, yet it held a tenderness that lingered just shy of romance. In a fleeting instant, two solitary spirits converged, drawn together by an unspoken yearning, each providing the other with a gift they had yet to realize they craved. In that moment, there was nothing but the present, a raw and unfiltered reality, where the weight of unspoken words hung in the air, and the profound gratitude of being truly seen enveloped them like a warm embrace. The future looms ahead, shrouded in uncertainty and mystery. Choices loom before me, truths await their reckoning, and difficult conversations stand on the horizon. Yet I hold on to those moments, the days when I unearthed the essence of my being, buried beneath the weight of countless silent years. There were days when I gazed into the mirror and finally felt seen, as if the veil of invisibility had been lifted. Lucas's words echoed in my mind, a powerful reminder that life races on, relentless and unyielding, even as the years slip by. Amidst the shadows there remains a flicker of wonder, a thread of connection, and the glimmering promise of healing waiting to be uncovered. For that, my gratitude will forever burn bright. The days that followed were like teetering on the brink of two divergent destinies. One was the steady pulse of my marriage, the heartbeat of my home, the life I had intricately woven with Richard. A quiet, unexpected sense of renewal washed over me, igniting a flame in a place I believed had long since turned to ash. Lucas moved through the world with quiet grace, never encroaching on territory that wasn't his own. He refrained from pushing or demanding, allowing the currents of life to flow around him. Instead, he arrived with a tenderness that stirred memories I thought had long faded away. He would occasionally drop by, his presence a fleeting shadow, just to check on my well-being. In the golden embrace of the late afternoon sun, we would settle into our chairs, cups of tea warming our hands. Conversations flowed like a gentle stream, meandering through the pages of beloved books, the allure of distant lands we longed to explore, and the bittersweet pang of aging, a haunting question lingering in the air. Am I still needed? His presence wove itself into the fabric of my week, a soothing cadence that echoed in the quiet moments. Known and recognized, a sense of belonging lingers in the air, soothing, yet guilt brews like a silent tempest. It remains silent, a tension hangs in the air, growing ever more palpable, as it builds in silence. As dusk settled, I found myself in the solitude of my bedroom, the air thick with anticipation, waiting for Richard to return from his journey. He lay there, lost in slumber, his back turned to me in the bed that had borne witness to our years together. The darkness enveloped me as I lay there, my gaze fixed on the ceiling, the suffocating weight of countless unspoken thoughts bearing down on my chest. Uncertainty hung in the air, thick and palpable, as I pondered the moment our conversation would fade into silence, and the reasons behind it eluded me like shadows in the night. Somewhere along the winding path of our lives, we had both vanished from each other's existence. Memories of Lucas's laughter echoed in my mind, the warmth of his curiosity as he inquired about my day, his undivided attention wrapping around me like a comforting embrace. I recalled how he held on to the smallest details, the way I savored my tea, the melodies I would hum absent-mindedly. His gaze lingered on me, a spark of significance igniting in the depths of his eyes. For the first time in years, a profound realization washed over me. I had merely been surviving, not truly living. Yet, deep within I remained a mother, a devoted partner, a woman forged in the fires of belief, where love was synonymous with sacrifice. The gnawing dread clung to me, a relentless whisper of what could unfold if the fragile equilibrium of my existence swayed too far in any direction. The mere idea of causing Ethan pain was unbearable to me, or witnessing the flicker of realization in Richard's eyes if he ever uncovered the secret that had silently blossomed between his wife and his son's closest friend. In that moment, faced with no other choice, I took the plunge into the unknown. I drew back, the distance between us heavy with unspoken words. I immediately ceased responding to Lucas's messages. The silence lingered, stretching endlessly between his visits, each moment heavy with unspoken words. As he approached that afternoon, I maintained a smile that was courteous yet held an air of detachment. He appeared to grasp the weight of the moment, yet there was a subtle dullness in his eyes that day, hinting at something deeper beneath the surface. "You're pulling back," he said softly, his voice a gentle whisper that hung in the air, not a hint of accusation, merely an acknowledgement of the distance growing between them. I breathed softly. Confusion swirled around me like a thick fog, obscuring any semblance of clarity. I found myself grappling with the chaos, struggling to piece together the fragments of understanding that eluded my grasp. Uncertainty loomed over me, a shadow that whispered secrets I couldn't grasp. He nodded, his hands buried deep in his pockets, his gaze locked onto the floor as if it held the weight of the world. "All I desire is for you to find happiness, Evelyn." That was the singular desire that burned within me. His words shattered me, because deep down I felt the weight of his words, knowing he truly meant them. and because I realized he might be the only one who had uttered those words to me in what felt like an eternity. That night, I lingered by the window, the darkness enveloping the house as the lights flickered out one by one. The moon loomed low in the sky, its silvery light spilling across the floor, weaving shadows that danced and flickered in the stillness of the night. And I surrendered to the tears, not only for Lucas, but for every moment I had stifled my own spirit. In the shadows of my existence, I had stifled my desires, silenced my cries, and told myself that the ache of solitude was the cost of unwavering fidelity. Uncertainty loomed ahead, shrouded in shadows, as I stood on the precipice of the unknown. Uncertainty gripped me as I stood on the precipice of confrontation, torn between the daunting task of facing Richard and the heavy burden of revealing the truth to Ethan. Yet a singular truth burned in my mind. I had rediscovered who I truly was. And thus the dawn of all things unfolded. Weeks slipped away, each one blending into the next like shadows in the twilight. As the days grew shorter, the leaves transformed, draping the streets in a vibrant tapestry of amber and rust, whispering secrets of the season's shift. Autumn enveloped me in a haunting blend of sorrow and introspection, that year arriving like a mirror to my very essence, softly, exquisitely, and brimming with poignant change. I immersed myself in the rhythm of the everyday. The dawn broke, casting a golden hue over the world as footsteps echoed softly on the dew-kissed path. Each step was a journey into the awakening day, where the air was crisp and filled with the promise of new beginnings. In the heart of the kitchen, the air thickens with the tantalizing aroma of spices and simmering sauces, each ingredient whispering secrets of flavor and tradition. The flames dance beneath the pot, casting flickering shadows that play across the walls, while the rhythmic chopping of vegetables creates a symphony of sounds. Every stir of the spoon is a promise, every sizzle a story waiting to unfold. As the dish comes to life, anticipation hangs in the air, a delicious tension that draws everyone closer, eager to savor the masterpiece being crafted before their eyes. The rhythmic motion of folding laundry filled the room, each piece of fabric a reminder of moments shared and stories woven into the threads. The soft rustle of cotton and the gentle creases formed a tapestry of everyday life, inviting reflection and nostalgia with every fold. Feigning that no transformation had taken place within me, Richard lingered in a haze, oblivious to the subtle shifts around him. If he sensed a change, he kept it locked away in silence. Our conversation skimmed the surface, brushing against the mundane. Groceries, Ethan's work, bills, plans, never daring to plunge into the depths beneath. We danced in a delicate balance, two celestial bodies caught in a gravitational pull, forever circling one another yet never truly colliding. At times, I couldn't shake the thought that he too might be haunted by the same hollow void, perhaps having simply learned to live with it, just as I had. But I had crossed a threshold. It was no longer something I merely accepted. I had experienced the raw sensation of being alive once more. Lucas had begun to fade from their lives, his visits becoming a rare occurrence. He honored the boundary I had set, yet occasionally when Ethan spoke his name, it would strike my heart like a heavy stone sinking into water. Waves of recollection surged forth, drawing every fragment of the past back into the depths of consciousness. His absence weighed heavily on my heart. In his presence I felt like a ghost of my former self, a shadow of who I truly was. On a brisk Saturday afternoon, I stood at the town's edge, treading a well-worn path beside a lake where Ethan once played as a child. The wind whispered against my coat, while the skeletal trees groaned softly overhead. In that profound solitude, the dam I had constructed within myself finally shattered. I perched on a time-worn bench, my voice breaking the silence as I addressed the vast sky, the ancient trees, and anything that might be eavesdropping on my thoughts. Lost in the shadows of my own existence, I find myself questioning the very essence of my being. Am I mistaken for yearning for something greater? The breeze responded with an eerie stillness, yet a sense of weightlessness enveloped me after uttering those words. In that moment, a profound clarity washed over me. I understood that I had not truly betrayed anyone, not in the depths of my heart. I had merely experienced. After years of emotional starvation, I finally dared to embrace the faintest glimmer of connection, and in that moment, everything shifted within me. That didn't turn me into a monster. It awakened my humanity. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows across the kitchen, I found myself alone, the air thick with anticipation, while Richard sat in the living room, engrossed in the rustle of the newspaper. The lamplight flickered, weaving a tapestry of soft shadows that danced across the room, each movement whispering secrets of the night. I gazed at him, seeing not merely my husband, but the man he had become in this moment. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, I caught a glimpse of the exhaustion etched across his face. Not merely in his body but deep within his very essence. Had this profound loneliness been his constant companion, lurking in the shadows of his mind, waiting for him to find the words to give it life? "Richard," I whispered, my voice barely breaking the silence. He lifted his gaze. Silence hangs between us like a heavy fog, suffocating and unyielding. "We don't talk anymore." He blinked, taken aback by the starkness of the words. "What are you trying to say?" "What I'm trying to say is, it feels like an eternity since we truly locked eyes, as if the world around us faded away, leaving only the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air, or inquired about each other's well-being, with genuine intent behind the words. It's as if I share my life with a ghost, a figure cloaked in mystery, whose essence eludes me at every turn. Perhaps you share this sentiment." He placed the paper on the table, his jaw clenched, eyes filled with doubt. Silence enveloped him for what felt like an eternity. Then, with a quiet resignation, I realized I had ceased my efforts, believing you no longer required my presence. The words hit me like a thunderclap. "What makes you believe that?" Uncertainty loomed like a shadow wrapping around me, leaving me adrift in a sea of questions. I felt the weight of the unknown pressing down, a silent whisper echoing in my mind. I don't know. Perhaps I became ensnared in the relentless grip of my work. Perhaps I had lost the ability to forge connections altogether. The silence became our companion, a presence we learned to navigate in the shadows of our lives. In that fleeting moment, a warmth unfurled within me, breaking through the barriers I had built. Not because it resolved anything, but because it brought to light that Richard, too, carried within him a depth of unspoken anguish. That night, we left many mysteries unsolved. Yet, we engaged in conversation. After years of silence, we finally found our voices and spoke to each other. We delved into the vast expanse that lay between us. Years slipped by in a haze of routine, the simmering resentments, the stillness of sorrow. Silence hung in the air, thick and heavy, devoid of any shouts or cries. There is no blame to be found, only the raw, unfiltered truth. I held back the truth about Lucas, keeping it locked away for now. The truth resided in a hidden chamber of my heart, shrouded in shadows and whispers. One that I may choose to unveil later, or perhaps never at all. It wasn't shame that held me back. It was the realization that Lucas embodied something essential for me, a reflection of emotions long buried, a spark of worth I had almost forgotten. He was never a mistake. He was a chapter waiting to be unraveled. As the months slipped by, the dynamics between Richard and me began to shift in ways I never anticipated. Gradually, softly, we stepped into the counseling room, a space thick with unspoken words and heavy emotions. Once more we gathered around the table for dinner, the familiar clatter of dishes and the warmth of shared moments enveloping us. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we found ourselves strolling side by side, the world around us fading into a backdrop of twilight shadows. It was far from perfect, yet we were fighting with all our might. And sometimes, in the stillness of the night, thoughts of Lucas would creep into my mind, haunting the shadows of my memories. His voice flowed like a calm river, steady and reassuring, while his warm eyes held a depth of empathy that seemed to pierce through the chaos. In the silence between them, an unspoken understanding lingered, wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. Not with a sense of yearning, but with a heart full of appreciation. He stepped into my world when I was submerged in silence, gasping for breath beneath the weight of my struggles. With a simple gesture, he extended his hand, offering salvation without a hint of expectation. He pulled me back to the surface, a whisper of my former self lurking beneath the layers of time, fading and forgotten. That reminder was a treasure, a spark igniting the depths of memory, one that would remain with me for eternity. Winter crept in quietly that year, wrapping the world in a delicate embrace. Snow fell softly, each flake a secret whispered from the heavens, transforming the world beyond into a serene white expanse. I frequently caught myself gazing out the window, mesmerized by the snowflakes as they danced in slow spirals, pondering how such fragile beauty could transform the very essence of everything it graced. Within those walls, life had found its cadence once more. Yet it pulsed with an unmistakable change. Richard and I had started to rediscover each other as individuals, shedding the masks of our roles. There were days when the lingering ache of uncertainty still clawed at my mind, but those days had become rare, like shadows fading in the light. We laughed, a mix of joy and tension, like two souls rediscovering a language lost to time. At times, we found ourselves enveloped in a warm silence, each of us silently thankful for the mere act of trying together. One fateful afternoon, while sifting through the dusty remnants of forgotten boxes in the attic, I stumbled upon a faded photograph of myself, captured in a moment from years past, perhaps when I was 30. With a beaming smile that lit up my face, I stood at the edge of the shimmering lake, arms wide open, embracing the moment during our unforgettable family trip. My gaze lingered on the image, each detail pulling me deeper into its world. That woman had once slipped through my fingers, a ghost in the shadows of my past. In that moment, a revelation struck me. She was still here, not lost to the shadows as I had feared. She lingered in the shadows, yearning for a moment of stillness, a breath of fresh air, and a whisper to pull her back into existence. As dusk settled over the horizon, I found myself compelled to put pen to paper, crafting a letter that held the weight of my thoughts. It wasn't my plan to send it, yet the urge to release those words became irresistible. My dearest Lucas, I wonder if these words will ever reach you, and perhaps that's a blessing in disguise. Yet I feel compelled to express my gratitude. It wasn't merely the kindness you extended, nor the moments you shared, but the way you looked into my soul, awakening a part of me that I had long since lost sight of. You awakened within me the realization that I am still capable of profound emotions, of forging connections, of being more than merely a wife or a mother. You opened a door for me to reclaim my voice, to embrace my identity as a woman once more. Not through the lens of romance, but through the power of recognition. What we shared was a hushed symphony of complexity, woven with threads of profound authenticity. I hold it close, not as a burden of regret, but as a precious gift that shapes my journey. Though I have embarked on a different journey, one that demands I resurrect what has long been forsaken, I embrace it with a heart that feels more complete than it has in years. Thank you for being a part of this journey, bathed in an everlasting warmth. In the dim light of the room, a name echoed softly, lingering in the air like a haunting melody. Evelyn. With a deliberate motion, I folded the letter, its words lingering in the air, and tucked it away into the depths of the drawer, sealing away its secrets. Not to forget, but to pay tribute. Not every tale requires a resolution to hold significance. Some souls drift into our lives like whispers, altering us with their quiet presence before vanishing into the shadows, leaving only echoes of their touch. And that is their true purpose. At long last, spring emerged from the shadows of winter, as it has done since time immemorial. As the days unfolded in a cascade of light, I too began to awaken, transformed by the warmth that enveloped me. One morning, as Richard and I toiled in the garden, his tuneless hum mingling with the rustle of leaves, I planted fresh blooms with care. Glancing up at the vast expanse of sky, a smile crept across my face, the promise of the day unfolding before us. Years slipped away as I embarked on a relentless quest to rediscover the essence of who I truly was. And though it arrived in a manner I had never anticipated, it had indeed arrived. I remained Evelyn. With the passage of time comes a deeper understanding, a newfound clarity that sharpens the mind and enriches the soul. Bound by vows, yet imperfect. Yet I felt more alive in that moment than I had in years. In that moment, a profound understanding washed over me, and I knew it was more than sufficient.